Can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me now? आता आवाज येतोय दैवशाला? Hi, can you hear me? You can hear me. Okay, okay. Thank you so much. I'm sorry there was some technical glitch. All right. So let me repeat what I said. Most of you are unable to join in the afternoon, which is okay, absolutely all right. I welcome you all who all can come in the afternoon and who all are going to watch in the evening as well or later as well. Great, I'm glad. Thank you so much. Okay, so now let's start with the session. Let me introduce myself because there was no voice. Let me just repeat. My name is Kalyani Umrani and I run a salon and academy in Pune for last 24 years. We are a CIDESCO school. We are a City and Guilds affiliated school. We also conduct ABTC. We have a lot of beauty courses, skin, hair, spa, and do visit the academy. These are the pictures of our infrastructure, how the place is. So you're most welcome. Now the lockdown is also open. So you're most welcome to meet us at our academy. All right. So why these free sessions and why we are conducting these free sessions? Because the only reason is it's a hand holding. It's just a help extended. For the reason people are not aware how to study, how to give the exam. So we have created 2 orientation videos. One video is about what the exam is, how you're going to appear for the exam in case there is some technical error, when you should apply. In case you fail in the exam, no problem, you are allowed to apply 3 times. So everything is discussed in that video. So please do watch, guys. It's very important you watch the video. All right. So let's start with the session. I'm just sharing this PPT screen, which has our phone numbers. So in case anybody wants the phone number and address, please check this slide. I'll just wait for a moment. So hi Tanzim, Sheikh, Devashala, Nilima Salve, Charu Patil, Kalpana, Uddar. Thank you guys for joining in. Kiran Rakhewar. I hope Daivashala and Harsharaj Bidkar, Manisha, Karampuri, all of you have given the exam. Have you guys given the exam? I have to check your messages on another screen. That's why I'm looking at this screen. So I just want to know, कितने लोगों ने already exam दिया है, कितने लोगों ने Marathi sessions attend किए हैं? If you put it in the comment box, I would really love to, know it. Hi Simran. I'm good, Tanzim. Thank you so much. So can you please comment everybody who all have given the exam and how was your experience? Was it easy? Was it so difficult? How was your exam? Please comment. I'm waiting for your comments. I think there's a little lag between me asking and people typing in. So let me be patient. And today the internet connection is a bit slow. So I would like to know how many of you have applied for the exam, how many of you have passed, you are still studying. कितने लोग हैं आप में से जो स्टडी कर रहे हैं या जिन्होंने एग्जाम दिया है, आपका एक्सपीरियंस कैसे था? अगर कोई भी रिप्लाई नहीं कर रहा है, इसका मतलब सब लोग अभी स्टूडेंट है, nobody has given the exam. So I consider this group as totally new group. नाही दिली exam. Okay, Harsharaj, fine. So please contact. आम्हाला कॉन्टॅक्ट करा तुम्ही जेव्हा तुम्हाला एक्झाम द्यायची आहे तेव्हा. ऑल राईट. So because this is English version of training, because lot of people don't understand Marathi who are from out of India or who are from out of the state. We have people watching from Dubai and Mauritius as well. Few of my fraternity friends. So entire these 5 days I was focusing only on English training. Last week we did Marathi, and might be from next week I will start with my Hindi trainings again here. All right. Okay. So let me share the topic for the day. Study चालू आहे. Very good, Kiran. I'm happy. Tanzim Sheikh also says that she's studying. Harshraj also says that. I'm very glad. Study करते आहे Shruti Parlor. Good, Shruti. You all must study because that's a very good, what you can say, a gift from Sidesco to us. All right. So nobody in the world is giving such free trainings. Only few institutes in India, Section India. By the way, Section India has just announced that 8,000 people, more than 8,000 people from India have given this exam. So isn't this a great news? I feel very proud that so many people from India have appeared for this exam. And I'm really happy for it. How many of you feel proud? 8,000 people in just 2 weeks time, 2 to 3 weeks time. Isn't it cool? Isn't it great? I find it really great. I feel very proud of my country. And I feel very proud of Section India, ABTC people who have worked hard towards, giving us translation in Hindi as well as Marathi. All right. So I think a lot of people have joined in. So let me start with today's session. I welcome you all. So today's session is little like a science class. I don't know how many of you like biology, but I used to like biology. And but I don't teach anatomy physiology for Sidesco students in my academy. I teach for basic advanced like cell, muscles, bones, and the basic advanced level I teach. But for our Sidesco classes, we have few doctors on panel who actually train people on the entire body systems, anatomy, physiology. But bacteria, viruses, and fungi is like the basic study of any beauty therapy course and should be the study. So if you ask me, in our academy, we cover bacteriology, what are viruses, and what is good posture, and what all these few things what you are learning in these sterilization sanitation award, we cover it in basic itself. So it's easy for anybody who starts a career, knows the sterilization sanitation importance, the importance of standing upright, or the right method of sitting, etc. Yeah. So I think it's very important. Even if you find it like a science class, please listen to this session very carefully. Let me tell you why. Because most of the salon owners just feel that, मैंने मेरा comb, yeah, if I just take my comb or my scissor and I just wash it under the water, it's clean. I have used soap, it's clean, it's completely virus free. No, your metal and your plastic will take more deeper sterilization, sanitation methods for it to go completely virus free. So guys, please make sure that you understand how these viruses and bacteria and fungi grow. All right. Daivashala, yes, we have few questions translated in Marathi. We'll send you. You can just message on that number. Yeah. Now, bacteriology involves the identification. So let's see what is bacteria, virus, and fungi. So bacteriology is the study of bacteria. Okay. What all it involves? It involves identification, which bacteria are these. Then classification. The classification is based on their shapes and the characterization of bacterial species. Now, why characters? Unless and until the character of bacteria is not known, the problem or the disease cannot be known. Simple example. If we have some problem, we go to the pathological lab and we give them our blood, a saliva, a urine stool, whatever they ask for, or whatever the doctor recommends for the analysis. Okay. So what do they analyze from? They analyze from the species, from the classification, from the characterization. Okay. So we are not going to go as deep as a doctor, but because we work on the naked skin, on the skin, on hair, wherever these bacteria are found, or they can be transmitted from one person to another, we will have to understand who are these little enemies for our skin, for our hair, or for our health. All right. Now, education of bacteriology will help us to use the various products such as makeup products, the makeup tools what we use, the styling products and tools, manicure, pedicure tools, etc. carefully and ensure sterilization at the same. So even our makeup products must be sanitized. Even our styling products or the tools what we use, the combs, the brushes, or maybe your hot rollers or your tongs or your irons, they should also be sanitized time and again. Very important to sanitize and sterilize your pedicure instruments, because sometimes, not always, what happens is by mistake, if you touch the client's skin with an arrowhead needle or something sharp, blood might ooze out. So in any kind of blood or any kind of body fluid, bacteria, viruses are there. Okay, it's your immunity if you're not getting infected, or it's on the potency of that bacteria. Like not all bacteria are, you can say non-pathogenic, which are like harmless. Some bacteria are pathogenic. We'll see what are those. But it depends. Even if the client is perfectly in the health, in pink of his health, and if the therapist is not in the right health condition, either of the one is going to transfer in any which you can say scenario, if the client is infected or the therapist is infected. So it's not always that salons will keep multiplying the infections, or even the clients who come are also with a lot of diseases and disorders. So the care needs to be taken on both ends, right? Now, what are bacteria? Bacteria are microscopic single-celled organisms that thrive in diverse environments. What is single cell? We all have learned cell in in schools, in biology class, maybe 7th standard, 8th standard, I don't remember. But what is the size of a cell? It's very, very tiny. You cannot see with the naked eye. Okay, you need a proper magnifying glass, which are there in the labs. All right. And where all do you find all these bacterial organisms? You find it in soil, you find it in water, and you find it inside the human body. Okay. And how do they multiply? The way they multiply, the process is called as mitosis. The way they reproduce, it's called as the mitosis. Okay. So such kind of words are going to be asked for the MCQ, for the multiple choice question. Like the example could be the multiplication of bacteria, the way they multiply is called as dash. Mitosis, reproduction, spread of infection, or you can something else, like what you can say, some other terminology, and you need to tick to one correct answer, which is mitosis. All right. So remember these small words. As I said, as I tell it every day, even if you're giving the exam in English, you can ask for Hindi notes as well. Okay. ABTC India has been kind enough to give us all translated notes in Hindi and Marathi. Okay. Now let's see what are two types of bacteria. One is pathogenic bacteria and one is non-pathogenic bacteria. So what is a pathogenic bacteria? As the name suggests, they are very harmful and they cause disease. So what are these diseases? Your acne can have a bacteria. Your dandruff is a bacteria in itself. Okay. So starting from an acne to a dandruff to there's so many kind of bacterial diseases which cause harm to human body, human health. All right. Now there are certain non-pathogenic bacteria as well. Okay, what are those? They are incapable of causing disease and are harmless. So they are our friends. They're good for us. For instance, like the resident flora around the skin or the gut bacteria in intestines and colon. Okay, so we already have certain good bacteria in our body which help us to digest the food, which help us to take care of the body and to fight the bad bacteria. Okay, to give you one more easy example to understand, the curd, the dahi, what we make in the house, curd, when it ferments, there are certain bacteria which are involved in fermenting it. All right. Then the idli ka batter, what we make at home. So what we do, we create the batter, we keep it overnight, and next day it ferments and it blows up a bit. So what is that all about? It's the fermentation procedure which happens due to the good bacteria. All right. So it's very important for us to understand what are these bacteria and how do they look like. Now, as I always say, CDSCO has not approached the world to take care of hygiene only for these COVID times. CDSCO is always pioneer in taking care of the client. The entire syllabus what CDSCO offers will always be client and staff centric. You know, it's like they will always talk about sterilization, sanitation in every diploma, in every course what they offer. Okay, but now because of this COVID situation, they have gifted this to the world, which helps the entire world understand whichever country follows CDSCO norms and whichever country is into CDSCO training, to help the students, to help the salon owners, to help the academy owners to understand what these infections and in coming times we should not be, the world should not be a failure to face all such kind of pandemics or some such diseases. So as a salon owner, it's not just like once the COVID is over, I'm not going to follow anything. No, you cannot do that, because this is going to be the lifelong thrust to take care of our clients and ourselves. Okay. Now, most of the people, when they look at this slide, they are like, oh my God, do we have to learn all this? No, you don't have to learn all this. You have to just understand this. Okay, what are gram-positive cells? What are gram-negative cells? No client is going to ask you what kind of cells, bacteria in my acne or in my skin infection. No, this is for our understanding, because as we proceed in cosmetology or in the body therapy, as you go further, your basics needs to be really strong. All right. So let's see what are gram-positive cells and gram-negative cells. So there is a test of color which is given to these bacteria, and when they change the color, the segregation starts. So let's see in coming slides as well. So gram-positive cells are killed by penicillins, which are antibiotics, and gram-negative cells are not that easily killed by antibiotics. Easy to understand. Cytoplasmic membrane surrounds the cytoplasma. Inner and outer membrane containing lipopolysaccharide walls are more complex. So what are these lipopolysaccharide walls? They are like, a mesh, a wall of sugar. Okay. You can Google more for lipopolysaccharides. You can watch videos on YouTube. They are in Hindi and they are in English as well. Okay. Then you all must be knowing what is cytoplasm, because if you have done your basic and advanced well, you know what is cytoplasm. Okay. I don't want to go in that details. Thick peptidoglycan layer. It's a unique material with teichoic acid. So what is this? What is teichoic acid? It is found in the cell wall of bacteria. What is peptidoglycan? It's a mesh-like layer outside plasma membrane to most bacteria, and it also has sugar components. So to give you the perfect definition, what the encyclopedia says, I have written down few definitions because I'm not a medical student, I'm a commerce student, and to teach all this, I don't want to go wrong, and I'm sorry if I'm going wrong in pronouncing it or explaining it, but there are certain limitations to teach the beauty therapy students because I just cannot cross a line of going very much in detail and just giving an enough information. So I don't want to cross that border of going too much in detail and it causes a boredom to you and you guys leave the session. So I want you back. All right. So what is gram-negative cells? It's periplasmic spaces in between the membrane. So again, it's a kind of a liquid, you can say a layer, which is there in the cell membrane. Okay. Now coming to gram-positive cells, it's capsules from the outer layer on outside, and gram-negative cell, it has more of the cytoplasm inside the layer. So what is the difference and how do they find out what is gram-positive cell and gram-negative cell? So there is a test conducted, as I said, it's a purple color stain test. Under their reaction, this is divided. All right. So in the slide, you can see there are two layers of peptidoglycan and plasma membrane, and the third picture shows there is a gap between the outer membrane, peptidoglycan, periplasmic space, and the plasma membrane. Okay. So basically, they have given the differentiation based on the structure of gram-negative and gram-positive. Okay. Now, in gram-positive cells, the cell wall is thick with dense peptidoglycan layer, and gram-negative cell wall is thin with single layer of peptidoglycan. Okay. So now it's just the understanding. Since I know not many of us are from science background, so we will just put the dots and later we'll connect all the dots while we understand the problems faced due to these infections or these bacteria. It's all right if you don't understand each and every word in this slide. It is just for your knowledge, just for your information. Now, again, as I said, let's keep learning pointers and let's connect all the dots later. Now let's see what are the environmental factors affecting the growth of bacteria. What are these? So first thing is nutrients. Some organisms are autotrophs, okay, that can make their own food using light, water, carbon dioxide, or other chemicals. So they create their own food. They're very independent bacteria. Okay. Opposite to that, there are heterotrophs which cannot produce their own food. Okay. Instead, they obtain their food and their energy by taking in organic substances, usually plant or animal matter. So it clearly defines that heterotrophs are dependent on food and energy on organic substances, which are the living beings. Okay, it could be a plant, it could be trunk of a plant, it could be an animal, okay, or could be a dead animal. Okay, then pH. Some bacteria can exist in pH environment near 6 to 10.5. Some species can live with pH as low as 3.0. So what is this pH? pH is the potential hydrogen. I think everybody who has done their basic advanced well will understand the pH. Because unless you don't know pH, you will not understand what is skin pigmentation and how do you treat that. Okay. So what is 6 pH? So as we all know, the pH scale is from 1 to 14 and up to 7, up to 6, the pH is acidic. 6.5, 7.5, the pH is neutral. And 7.5 above, the pH starts getting alkaline. It goes towards alkalinity. So 6 is the weak acid and 10.5 is the strong alkali. Okay. So even our sweat is acidic. So there are so many bacteria in our sweat as well. Okay. So some species, they live below the pH as low as 3.0. So 3.0 is pretty strong acid. So there are certain bacteria which will live on strong acids as well. Okay. There is a lot of knowledge on Google, on encyclopedia, on pH. So please guys, improve upon your knowledge. Go read such stuff, write down notes, study them. Okay. Temperature. Now, we are talking about all environmental factors in which we have already covered nutrients, which we have covered pH. Now, temperature. Different microbial species vary widely in their optimal temperature ranges for growth. Below 4 degrees Celsius, growth can slow down, and only heat above 60 degrees Celsius can kill the bacteria. Now, this is the point which I was discussing in the initial phase of this today's session, where I said people are very casual about sanitizing, about sterilizing their salons, or about sterilizing their instruments, about sterilizing, sanitizing their makeup brushes. So guys, can you see certain bacteria are killed above 60 degrees Celsius, which is like a, real boiling hot water, or, a furnace to an extent. All right. So don't feel that I just sprayed some solution, some Dettol on my brushes and I'm using it. No, if your client is carrying any kind of bacteria, any kind of this COVID virus or any kind of very harmful viral infections, the other client or you yourself are going to be the person who is going to face the infection, or you're going to fall a prey for this wrong protocol of cleaning or sanitizing if you're not following it well. So guys, this is the point which I'm going to stress upon. And my second session, if you have already watched it, which talks about the sanitation and sterilization methods, in that too we were talking about bacteria and viruses. So that's why this topic is, because as an aesthetician, as a salon owner, you need to know both the sides of how the bacteria are formed, how are they killed, on what temperatures do they sustain. So please guys, don't take this COVID situation or this cleaning thing or hygiene protocol so easily, just to, I want to show it to my clients. No, it's time we get serious and we get sincere. Don't be serious, be happy, okay? But be sincere towards the way you are going to sanitize or sterilize your salons, spas, or your beauty schools, okay? Now see, moisture, all life requires water to sustain. So wherever there is moisture, your washroom, okay, any areas wherever there is, water leakage, or if you see your own body, wherever there is moisture, there is bound that it's bound to happen that there's going to be a lot of bacterial infection. That's why sweat smells, because the bacteria in the sweat, there are bacteria in the sweat. That's why it smells. And what is sweat? It's all the toxic thing inside your body which comes out. All right. So even our sweat has bacteria. That's why yesterday in the session where we were learning about starting up the schools and starting up salons post-COVID, we said that make sure whoever your staff is, they change the clothes once they come down to the salon, and don't allow them to wear the clothes in which they traveled all the way from their home. Maybe they are coming from a containment zone. Maybe they are taking bus or auto rickshaw or any kind of a vehicle, wherein they are susceptible to infections. Okay. Now there's one thing called as osmotic pressure. So what is osmotic pressure? Let's see, microbes obtain almost all their nutrients in solution from surrounding water. Hence, factors such as osmotic pressure and salt concentration of solution affects the growth of bacteria. Haloduric microbial species do not prefer salt environment. They are called as haloduric. They are phobic to the salt environments. They do not prefer salt environments. Opposite to that are halophilic species, which prefer high salt concentrations or salt condition. So what is osmotic pressure? Osmotic pressure is the pressure in which there are exchange of certain fluids, exchange of certain gases. Okay, it's actually the pressure on the bacteria or on the microbes. Okay, or it's basically an external pressure. So this was in like very very precise description. You can Google for more information about osmotic pressure, especially on the microbes or on the bacteria, because this terminology is applied in n number of scientific studies or understandings. Okay, trying to make it a little simple. Yeah. Then this slide talks about oxygen, carbon dioxide, what is pH scale, how does it look, and it tells us wherever there is, less light, the areas are not exposed to sunlight, the areas don't get enough oxygen, they are bound to produce more carbon dioxide. That's why in every session we are telling, make sure that after okay, you open the salons and you make picture. Okay, so acidic is 0 to almost 6, 6.5. It becomes weaker over here when it reaches closer to the neutral. 7 is 6.5, 7.5 is supposed to be the neutral one. And as it crosses, it goes to become alkaline. All right. So every product, your shampoo, your conditioners, your makeup products, everything are being tested for being acidic or alkaline. Okay. Now let's understand what are toxins. Toxins are a nitrogenous protein substance which is harmful and poisonous to human tissue and is released by microorganisms. Okay, so toxins, even as a human body, we emit, we secrete and excrete so many toxins. Okay, then while working in the salon, when we are exposed to client's skin, there are so many toxins on the client's body. That too we are facing on day-to-day basis. All right, then let us understand there's a differentiation between these two toxins, which is endo and exo. There is much more detailed explanation, but let's understand just endotoxin and exotoxins. Okay, now endotoxins are mostly the gram-negative cells. As I said, whatever we are studying, it's getting connected to the next slide or the next information what we are gaining. And exotoxins are mostly the gram positive. All right. Then endotoxins are moderately toxic, fatal in mg quantities, like very small quantities. They are not too toxic. But if you talk about exotoxins, they are highly toxic. They're very fatal, and even in nano quantities, if you tend to swallow it, or you tend to by mistake it goes through into your body, it's going to be fatal. Okay, endotoxins generally not released outside the cell until the death of the cell. So even your body cell is fighting to its last breath for killing the toxins inside the cell. But if it fails, if it makes the cell dead, then only they are released by the cell, and then they start multiplying and attacking the body. Okay, so our body immune system is so an immaculate system, which fights on its own. But there is a time where even the cells, if the body immunity is not good, if the medication is given and not is not given in right quantities or on right time, you will face some toxic problems or any kind of disease. All right, then secreted out of the cell. So exotoxins are a little fatal, secreted out of the cell. Now endotoxins, they are stable. Okay, they withstand autoclaving. up to 121 degrees centigrades. Okay. And exotoxins are little unstable and are destroyed at 60 to 80 degrees centigrades. So there are a lot of examples if you Google for encyclopedia, examples of endotoxins and exotoxins. Okay. So my main intention of explaining this is see the centigrade at which they get destroyed. So we cannot go very easy on the sanitation and sterilization processes, because in case such bacteria exist on our equipments or on the laundry or on the surfaces, it's going to be a problem. See, today we are not just talking about coronavirus, we are talking about overall bacterial infections, because what people feel is till date, because the people who don't have knowledge about all this is they feel it's only because of coronavirus salons are facing so much problem, salons are not opening, and because government is also, no, it's not like that. Salons are not super spreaders, rather all salons are taking utmost care now. But your sabzi wala, your vegetable vendor could be a super spreader, your doodh wala, milkman could be a super spreader. Okay, because they need to be trained on how to take care of the hygiene part. All right. So I think this education will help quite a lot of beauticians who are not, for beauty salons owners who are not following protocols for managing their sanitation and sterilization in salon. This could be a good eye opener for them to understand that, okay, COVID is not the only thing we are going to focus, but these bacteria, these toxins are always ever prevailing in our salons. All right. Then endotoxins, they are not easily neutralized by antitoxins. Therefore, effective toxides cannot be made. So all the endotoxins, as they say, cannot be neutralized. Maybe you're taking a medication, you're applying something. They cannot be neutralized that effectively. Okay. But exotoxins effects are specific to cell structure or function in the host, mainly affects the cell function. So it retards the cell function so that your cell doesn't reproduce another cell, as we said, mitosis in the earlier slides. So it affects the cell growth. That's why they are more toxic, because the moment body starts creating new cells, those are the fighter ones. We will see the fighter cells in the next slides. Okay, so our body should continuously produce the healthy cells which are going to help us fight the infection. Now, to give an easy example of endotoxin and exotoxin, endotoxin causes fever, weakness, aches, shock. For example, typhoid fever, UTI, which is the urinary tract infection, meningococcal meningitis. These are certain infections which are caused by exotoxin. All right. What are, endotoxins. What are exotoxins? Exotoxins are the one which cause tetanus or botulism. So what is tetanus? We all know that whenever we are exposed to or a rusted nail or something, which makes our skin gets cut and the blood oozes out of our body. And if it's an iron material, or if there was a rust or something, we are bound to get this tetanus ka infection. That's why we take anti-tetanus vaccines. All right. So what are these anti-tetanus vaccines? They help the body. They are the dead tetanus cells which help the body to fight against that disease. I hope I am slow. I am not too fast, and everybody is understanding at least, something. I want some comments in the comment box, because I don't know if everybody is listening so patiently, or you're getting bored, or you're not able to understand anything, so that I can repeat, or I can make myself a better teacher to make you understand what I want to teach. So can you guys please be kind enough to type in the chat box if you're understanding? Let me see a few likes or few hearts in the chat box. come on. Yes, I could see Tanzim's. So Tanzim, is it easy to understand? Is it very boring? Is it going quite bonkers? I need to know. Understanding? Okay. Chalo, I'm glad. Thank you, Shweta. Okay. So all these typhoid fevers, urinary tract infections, or meningococcal meningitis. What is this meningococcal meningitis? It is a infection which is caused near the brain and the spinal cord, the lower part of brain and spinal cord. It makes the skin a little inflamed, and it's a very life-threatening disease. So this is the easiest one I can tell. If you want to know more about these diseases, just Google for them. And what is botulism? Botulism is again a serious illness which is caused by bacteria. Like for example, if you have old food, stale food which is gone really bad, okay, which is smelly food, then you might face this problem of botulism. Okay. So to make life easy for beauty aesthetic people or salon owners, CIDESCO has made it very simple to understand. Okay. Now let's see the classification of bacteria. As I said, bacteria are defined on their classification, which basically are their, the shapes, their characteristics, and where they are found. All right. So what are the general forms of bacteria? I hope and I wish that most of you have learned this in your basic and advanced curriculum, wherever you have done your beauty therapy course. So let's learn about cocci. So cocci is a round shaped bacteria. Okay. Can you see in the picture? Cocci, they are round like balls. They look like tennis balls. Okay. They have been just colored over here to show the differentiation. They don't have a color. Streptococci, which are in a strip. Staphylococcus, which is in a bunch like grapes. And tetrad, they come in like a group of 4. And Sarcina or Sarcinae are in a globular form where they stick to each other in a globe form. All right. Then let's see the diseases as well. A spirilla is spiral in shape. Can you see spirilla? Okay. It looks like screw or, a little like a cork or screw shape. And it causes the disease which is called as the Trephomina pallidum. It is caused due to in sexual intercourse or unhygienic sexual practices. Bacilli is rod shape. Can you see bacilli in this orange color? Thick, thin, or short. For example, Bacillus megaterium. All right. And vibrio looks like a comma, the English comma in grammar. All right. So this is how the bacteria looks. Now let's see what diseases these guys, cause. So on the left side are the common names which we generally hear, and on the right side are the medical terms. All right. So just read it for information, but majorly understand what diseases they cause. Okay. So what all diseases are caused by bacteria is first is gastritis, as we all know, food poisoning, then different kinds of ulcers, meningitis, pneumonia. Strep throat is like you get some infection in the throat wherein we gargle and all. UTI is the urinary tract infection. Gonorrhea is again an sexual transmission infection. Then tuberculosis, which is TB. Cellulitis, as we all know, if you are a body therapy student, you know cellulitis. It's because of degeneration of connective tissue, but there is a bacterial infection because indigestion is also, or you can say constipation is also one reason for cellulitis. If you don't know cellulitis and if you're treating body massage or any kind of treatment, please Google and check what is cellulite. There's so much of study about cellulite incidence. Then there's a disease called as Lyme disease, which is kind of a flu rash or a joint pain or weakness. And tetanus. What is tetanus? As I said, serious disease of face the muscle get very hard and you cannot move the face muscle. So this was about a quick information about bacteria, how they look, the classification, and what all infections. Okay. Then let's see virus. Okay. Now he's the hero of the season. Since last 4 or 5 months, we are just around, knowing about what this virus is. And even if we don't want to know, some WhatsApp forward, some news, some video comes and, that virus comes and meet us. All right. So let's see what a virus is. A virus is the smallest type, okay, of parasite to exist, usually ranging from 0.02 to 0.3 nanometers in size. Although some viruses can be large as 1 nanometer and can be seen under electron microscope. So again, it's smaller than bacteria. So as it is, we are not going to see bacteria, right? We are not able to see bacteria. So viruses is smaller than bacteria. Okay. How are they? They are acellular, single cell. A viral particle or viron contains single nucleic acid, which is RNA or DNA, core surrounded by a protein coat called as the capsid. So what is capsid? It's another term for myrid. It's like a plant or a pest. Okay. Viruses are generally much smaller than bacteria. They lack the capacity to thrive and reproduce outside a host body. So this is the weak point of bacteria. They need a host body to live. All right. So coming to corona, we all know that it goes in the throat and it needs tissues, living tissues to reproduce, to grow. Okay. If it's outside your body, if you wash your hands well, if you take hygiene care, it's not going to thrive or it's not going to reproduce. So we know the pulse of this virus now. So we need to be more careful in our hygiene and self-care. All right. Don't let the virus enter our bodies or our clients' bodies. Okay. And I'm sure you all are going to take utmost care with all these training sessions. Viruses cannot survive independently and seek out plant, animal, or bacterial hosts where they can use those cells machinery to replicate. Okay, so to replicate for that phenomena, they need a plant, they need an animal, or they need a host body. Okay, now virus transmission. So how is the virus transmission? Example, as I give it every day, if I cough or if I sneeze in my hands and if I'm a carrier, corona carrier, the infection on my hand, if I touch my mouse, my computer mouse, if I touch my laptop, or if I touch anything, it will definitely stay on that. And if somebody else tend to touch it, they might carry it. Okay. So it's a very quick transmission. All bad things are getting transmitted very fast. All right. Like viruses, infections, bacteria. They don't need, somebody to push them, somebody to motivate them to grow fast. Good things need to get fast forward, replicated fast forward, faster, and people should follow good hygiene habits. People should go follow the you can say the SOPs given by all these associations to us. So most of you who feel I don't want to share this with my friend, I don't want to share these videos with others, I think it's not right. So wherever you find all such good information, good has to make more noise. So guys, please do keep sharing all this information, because unless and until the entire beauty industry is safe, people are not going to come to us with a confidence or with a promise that we are going to keep our clients safe. So as it's always it's said that, you don't need to create cobwebs in the house, you need to remove them. So all negative things just come on their own. We need to create positive things. We need to go back and create positive things. All right. So you can see the virus transmission is at peak right now. Okay. So what can we do? We can follow good protocols. We can follow the laws and regulations given by the government. We can make our workspaces our homes more safer to live and avoid this transmission. All right. And I'm sure you're going to follow that. So there are 4 types of transmissions, which is direct, indirect, common vehicle transmission, and airborne transmission. So airborne transmission is somebody sneezes, somebody coughs, and all the droplets of saliva, mucus are already in the air. And if I tend to breathe that, I'm going to get affected. Common vehicle, anything which has been commonly passed on, maybe a keys or a pen. Okay, even if you are taking a courier or a parcel, or you're signing something, you are taking a pen, it could be a common vehicle of transfer. That person might have the infection on the hand. So we need to be careful at every point. Even your notes, your currency notes, right? Your currency. Yeah. Then indirect transmission. Indirect transmission could be through, like tomorrow we are going to see about AIDS and hepatitis as well. So how do they transmit? All right. Now there is a diagram which talks about the virus particle, how it looks. So just for information, you are not going to discuss this with your clients, or nobody is going to come and ask you, okay, how the virus looks, how does my acne bacteria looks. Okay, so this is just pure education. So let's see what is capsid again. It's a protein sheath surrounding core, RNA and DNA of virus. So it's again kind of a sheath. Okay, you can see it in the diagram what has been shown. All right. Then what is nucleocapsid? Capsid and enclosed nucleic acid. Okay. So this is the diagram of virus particle, which shows the capsid, nucleocapsid, capsomers, and viron. So what are capsomers? Morphologic units, subunits found on capsid surface of virus particle, representing clusters of polypeptide when completely assembled from capsid. So it's towards the full grown virus. Okay. And how does that look? Capsomeres. It's the outer covering. Okay. And it forms the subunits. All right. Then what is a viron? So complete infective virus particle, inactive outside of the host. So viron is like, now the growth is complete. It's full grown. If you put it in the host body, it's going to multiply. Some are present as only nucleocapsid, but more complex virons have nucleocapsid and envelope. Envelope as in a surrounding of DNA, RNA around them. All right. So if you want to know more about this, just go and check encyclopedia about virus. Okay. But for your CDESCO education, for all your exams, this is more than enough. Okay. Now let's see classification of viruses. How are they? They're based on following properties. So the nucleic acid type, which is the RNA and DNA. Okay. The size and morphology. Okay. Helical or cubical. What is morphology? Their shape. How do they take the shape? How do they change the shape? Then specification by capsid structure. So what is the capsid? As I said, it's the outer covering. So from that too, you can make out, like not me or not you, but the virologists, the experts can make out what kind of virus is this and what destruction it is going to cause. The presence of specific enzymes. There are specific enzymes in viruses which make them disruptive, which make them weak, which make them potent. Okay. Susceptibility to physical and chemical agents. So even this virus, to check what kind of virus it is, the labs, the pathological labs or the experts have to put them to certain physical and chemical agents, and from the reactivity they understand, okay, this is coronavirus, okay, this is some this is just a normal flu virus or whatever. Okay. On the basis of replication properties, so how fast it replicates, the classification is on that too. Mode of transmission, as we all know, corona has a very smart mode of transmission. If you even handshake or if you touch a metal which has corona, it's going to get transferred. Okay, so every virus will have this mode of transmission. So certain viruses will only go through cough, Certain viruses will go through pollutant air, pollutant water, or polluted food. Okay. On type of host tissue. So on what kind of host tissue does it survive? These kind of bacteria. And symptomatology, which is very important. As we all know, the symptoms what we or the people who are affected show, it talks about the symptomatology. So this was a bit about how the viruses are classified. Now there are 4 shapes which CDSCO wants us to know. Viral shape. So virus shapes. So brick shape, rod shape, tadpole shape, and spheroid shape. So what are these? Yeah. So now, so pox virus, which is the chicken pox or the monkey pox. Okay. Then rod shaped. They are they're found on plant and insect viruses causing black dot on roses. So whenever the flower rose goes black or it causes certain dots, what kind of bacteria work on it? The rod shaped virus, the virus which is of rod shape causes that. Okay. Then tadpole shape, which is the bacteriophage. Okay. And the spheroid shapes which cause the influenza virus. What is influenza? It's again a epidemic, a catarrh. It gives flu or fever to the carrier, to the person who is infected. Now, reaction of viruses to physical and chemical agents. Now, why CDSCO wants all these things for us to know? Because we are always in close circuit or in close contact with the skin, with the hair of client, right? So heat and cold, very important. Some virus can be destroyed by being exposed to temperature of 50 to 60 degree centigrades for 30 minutes. Exception is hepatitis virus. Virus can be preserved by storage at sub-freezing temperature. So certain viruses for studies are being stored at sub-freezing temperature. In case you bring something from outside, if you don't quarantine it, if you don't wash it and put directly into the fridge, it might store the coronavirus as well. And there are a lot of videos on this on YouTube. Please do check. So whatever you're purchasing from outside and you're putting everything in fridge without washing it with soap, cleaning it. I'm not talking about vegetables and all. I'm talking about the plastic or the metal what we get from outside. Just be careful, in the cleaning part of it. Yeah. Then stabilization by salts. Many can be stabilized by high concentration of salts. That is, they are not inactivated even by heating at 50 degrees centigrade for 1 hour. Okay. So because we are not going to work so much on virus, we just have to follow the norms given to us about cleaning, sterilization, sanitation. pH, viruses are usually stable between pH 5 to 9. Okay. So weak acid to strong alkali, they are stable. Okay. The moment you are, the thing on which they exist becomes strong acids or strong alkali, they might lose their potency or their strength. Then radiations, viruses are usually inactivated by UV rays, X-rays, and high energy particles. Okay, so you all know that all these kind of rays, we have seen it in what are UV rays, what are UVA, UVB in our sterilization sanitation session on the second day. If you have missed out on any sessions, if you don't understand the notes, please go and watch them. Antibiotics, they have no effect on virus. However, rifampin can inhibit poxvirus replication. So poxvirus is again which causes chicken pox or monkey pox kind of diseases, smallpox or monkeypox kind of diseases. But we should not take any medication on our own, and nobody will give you without a prescription. Please consult your doctor. This is just for you to understand the importance of sanitization, sterilization in salon, at what level these bacteria live. Okay, so please take it be very sincere towards cleaning your instruments. Now let's come to the hero of the season, the diseases caused by virus. All right. Now coronavirus disease is again an infectious disease we all know, caused by newly discovered, which they call as novel coronavirus. The COVID-19 virus spreads primarily through droplets of saliva or discharge from the nose, when an infected person coughs or sneezes. So it is important that you also practice respiratory etiquette. For example, by coughing into flexed elbow. So in case if you're working in a salon and if you feel I'm going to sneeze or cough, go away 6 to 10 feet from the client. Run away from somebody who is there in front of you. Okay? Sneeze or cough in your elbow. Okay? Inside a tissue. Don't sneeze or cough in on somebody who's in front of you. Please follow this respiratory etiquette. Teach your staff. Teach everybody at home. All right? And even if you you happen to sneeze or cough in your hands, go and wash your palms for at least 40 minutes. 40 seconds. All right? So please clean your hands properly and then only touch the next thing. The best way to prevent and slow down transmission is to be well informed, underlined, highlighted about the COVID-19 virus. The disease it causes and how it spreads. Protect yourself and others from infection by washing your hands or using an alcohol-based rub frequently and not touching your face. I've seen a lot of people behaving very funny. They will wear mask. They don't know which is the right side of wearing mask. They will not wash their mask. They will not wash their hands often. Okay. While they're out for shopping or wherever they are, they will stand very close to people. Okay. And they're paranoid. They are tensed that I should not get corona affected. How do you feel that you won't get corona affected? Because you are not cleaning your mask. You are not cleaning your hands. You are touching everything right from the stairs railing to lift doors, and then you're not sanitizing your hands. You don't follow the respiratory etiquettes. You cough, sneeze, you spit somewhere. How do you feel that you're going to be safe and secured because of all these habits? So guys, I think we need a lot of training as a society in India. Okay, so many of us, so many people don't follow this basic respiratory etiquettes, basic etiquettes of cleaning, hygiene, and the sanitization procedures at home as well. So I think it's your responsibility. If you're learning so much, it should not stay with you. It should pass on to more people. You start training your staff. You start training your students. All right. Treatment at this time, there is no specific vaccine for treatment of COVID-19. We all know that. However, there are ongoing clinical trials evaluating potential treatment. So we'll soon get the vaccine. Still, it will take time to prove that, yes, this vaccine is foolproof and it's working well on all the people who have taken this vaccine. So we still don't know. Then what are the other diseases caused by viruses? Influenza, common cold, chickenpox, measles, hepatitis, HIV, and Zika virus. All right. So it is not just coronavirus. There are so many diseases caused by virus. All right. As I told you in the beginning, it's going to be a science class. All right. So what's the difference between bacteria and viruses? Let's see. So it's basically on the shape and the reactions and how they move in the host body or how they react. So bacteria are generally larger. Size ranges between 900 to 1000 nanometers. Still, we can't see them. Okay. Just for the information. Viruses are generally smaller. Size ranges between 30 to 50 nanometers. Bacteria are classified as living organisms. Viruses are neither living nor non-living, depends on the host body. If they get a host body, they are bound to multiply, infect you, create a lot of diseases. Most bacteria can reproduce without a host. So bacteria, as we saw, pathogenic, non-pathogenic, they don't need a host body. A virus needs a host to complete its reproductive cycle. So what all we saw in the diagram of virus up to viron, that's the cycle in which the virus grows with the capsid and the RNA, DNA, and the acids, what it has. RNA or DNA drift freely in the bacterial cytoplasm. RNA and DNA are enveloped inside a protein coat in virus. So this is how, maybe, I'm not an expert in that, maybe a virologist or a bacteriologist or the people who study could find out. Okay, there could be more understanding for this, but these are just small snippets, small examples given to us for us to understand a little bit about this. Bacterial infections are generally localized, like pneumonia, but viral infection are systemic. It will, actually attack your system. Okay, for example, flu. Yeah. Antibiotics are effective for bacterial infections. Of course, doctors are going to prescribe that. You are not going to take on your own. But there are antibiotics which will work on certain bacterial infection. But antiviral drugs are prescribed for viral infections. So it's not that easy to treat virus. So it's always better follow the protocols for salon hygiene, the sanitation protocols, sterilization protocols. Keep your immune system intact, exercise, have balanced diet, and just be away from all these infections. That's the best thing. Okay. Now, let's see what are fungi. So fungi can be again a single cell or a very complex multicellular organism. They're found in just about any habitat, but most live on the land, mainly in soil or on plant material. Low form of vegetable life with no chlorophyll. So what is chlorophyll? We all know. The green liquid what leaves produce with the help of sunlight, water. Okay. So you can see the fungi. Okay. They don't have the green color. They don't need chlorophyll, and you will find them somewhere where there is no sunlight. There's a lot of carbon dioxide, where the area is not clean. Yeah. Then they are classified as protists and eukaryotes. Then heterotrophic and lives by obtaining energy from either dead organic material or living organisms. All right. Then they are again divided as pathogenic and non-pathogenic. Useful, not useful. So the best example of fungi is the mushrooms what people eat. So non-pathogenic are the mushrooms what are cultivated specially, which are rich in protein. A lot of people eat them. Okay, so it's not that all fungi are bad and all fungi will cause. Certain fungi are used in making fertilizers, in making certain medicines. Okay, what are heterotrophic? Heterotrophics which obtain carbons for their growth. Okay, so they need carbon dioxide for their growth. Then what is the ecological habitat? Natural environment in which these particular species of fungi grow, or you can say on which the organism lives. Okay, then unicellular or multicellular, again single cell. Then the study of fungi is called as mycology. As we saw, study of bacteria is called bacteriology. Study of virus is called virology. Study of fungi is mycology. And the disease produced by fungi is called as mycosis. What is mycosis? It's like a ringworm. All right. So it looks like a ringworm. Now let's have a look at how the exam paper will be. So it will have a question and it will have 4 options. You have to click one of those. It's an online exam. You guys must have watched the orientation video and the video which talks about how to give the exam. Then the genetic material in virus, RNA, DNA, only RNA, DNA, RNA, okay, or RNA. So you all know this. So you need to just click on one. So these are kind of the multiple choice questions which they are going to ask you, and you need to just click. You don't have to write anything. Okay, don't have to explain anything. All right. So this was all about bacteria and viruses. A little, you can say, in-depth knowledge, but it was needed for everybody. All right. So if you have any questions, please feel free to answer. Please feel free to ask. I'll answer. I'm just waiting for questions. So this is a very interactive session, guys. Don't worry. It's not very formal and, I don't want to make it so formal. I am talking, you're not reacting or giving any replies. Let's be open to any question or anything you want to say. How was the session? Was it boring, interesting? Will this help you in studying for this, or will it help you to teach your students or your staff members? I hope this helps you. And I really wish everybody gives this exam in India. We have just crossed the 8,000 certification number, and I want more people to appear. Recently got to know that from ABTC, from Section India, that India has crossed 8,000 certification. We personally, guided 150 certifications ahead. We trained so many, most of them are busy, they will apply for the exam, but so many of them have already given. Okay, so next week we again have 100 people joining in from other state. Thank you, Shweta. Thank you, Tanzim. So I hope this, I tried to make it, easy, but I tried finding out easy words for all these terminologies, but there was a huge scientific description. So you can just Google, you can just watch videos and understand each and every part, because everything is available there on encyclopedia, Wikipedia. All right. Anita Dole, interesting session. Anita, I hope your problem is solved. You got the link. You tried after 24 hours. I hope you got it right. You gave your exam. Please share your certificates with us. I would love to see the certificates. All right. So here we come to the end of 4th session. Tomorrow is the last session. All right. Tomorrow we'll be talking about bloodborne diseases. We'll be talking about hepatitis, AIDS. We'll be talking about how to clean the blood stains in case there are any, blood spillouts in the salon while we are doing haircut, or we are, doing some treatments where there are blood spills. So that's also a very important part. We need to train our housekeeping staff. We need to train our hairdressers on how to take care if the blood oozes out of, while doing underarms, or while you're doing some manicure treatments, or sometimes while you're doing threading. If the client is having herpes problem, it's bound that it will come out, it will ooze out blood, and that herpes is not good for you also. As a person who's doing threading, it might spread. So we must know everything about all these viruses, bacteria, and bloodborne diseases. All right. So I hope there are no questions. You guys can refer the notes. These notes are very important to study. Okay. Take a printout now. Everything is started back to normal. Just take printouts and then study. Okay. These videos are not just going to be what they're going to ask in the exams. There will be quite a lot of things in exam. So study the notes, and I wish you all the best, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in. And if you have any questions, we'll cover them tomorrow, not an issue. Okay. So see you guys. I am trying when I get a CDESCO certificate. How come, Anita, you have so many problems? When you give the exam, immediately you have to click on the digital certificate or the hard copy, and there you get the certificate immediately in your email here. Just check after some time, just refresh your inbox, check in spam, because nobody faced so many problems. I'm really feeling sad for you. Why? How come you face so many problems? Ma'am, for 3rd August session is compulsory to give exam. Yes, Tanzim, 3rd August session is a gift from us for all the people who have passed this sanitation sterilization exam. And it's not just who have given exam through us, it is for all the people who have passed. So we have many registrations, and we'll soon close the registration, because we are not going to take more than few hundreds. All right. So give your exam before 3rd August. You still have time. Tomorrow we'll be done with the last session. Go through the notes and give your exam. All right. I wish you all the best. Take care. Stay safe. Stay indoors. Bye. Good day.